You'll remember this, right? When we were kids, the only form of petrol you could buy in Ireland, Britain, all over the world was leaded petrol, right? I can remember my mum putting it in a Rev Mini, and it was discovered that exposure to lead is really bad for your brain and particularly fucks up children's ability to focus and pay attention. And if it's in petrol, obviously it's going out, it exhausts fumes, it's in the air. Everyone was breathing in lead, right? And it was having a terrible effect on children's brains. So what happened was a group of ordinary mums who called themselves housewives banded together and said, well, why are we allowing this? Why are we allowing these for-profit companies to fuck up our kids' brains? I'm sure they were less sweary than me, but that's the gist of what they said, right? And it's really important to notice what those mums didn't say. They didn't say, so guys, we're going to have to ban petrol now, right? Just like none of us is saying, let's get rid of all tech, right? What they said is, let's ban the specific element in the tech that's screwing up our kids' attention and move to a different model that won't screw up our kids' brains, right? And it followed the classic pattern. These mums, they fought like hell for their kids. And it followed the pattern of like all political struggles that was described by Gandhi. First they ignored them, then they fought them. Sorry, first they ignored them, then they laughed at them, then they fought them, then they won. Everyone watching knows there's no more leaded paint anywhere. As a result, the Centre for Disease Control has calculated the average child in Ireland, Britain, all over the world is 3 to 5 IQ points higher than they would have been had we not banned leaded petrol, right? And to me, that's a really important example. You identify the specific thing in the environment that's harming kids' attention, and indeed everyone's attention, and you get out of the environment and you replace it with something that does the same job but doesn't have that toxic effect. Now, we can do that with tech. I can talk about how, but it requires, in the specific way we can do it, the technology exists today to have these apps designed in a way that helps and aids our attention instead of hacks and undermines it. But we have to deal with the equivalent of the lead in the lead paint, which is their business model. As long as the longer we scroll, the more money they make, they're going to carry on designing very effective ways to keep us scrolling. But we don't have to tolerate that, right? Just like as far as the lead industry screwing with us, we don't have to tolerate these companies screwing with us. We could fix it if we want to.
And is it changing? Do you see the likes of other examples of, obviously, when you're talking about scrolling, you're talking about your TikToks and your Instagrams and all these type of free social media platforms that are, and I guess, you even write that if something is free, the probability is you are the product, you are the product. But just wonder, do you have any other examples of things which are changing or signs or glimmers of hope of companies in the same niche that are just doing it differently and are forming different systems?
Well, the important thing to understand is these companies will never sort this out themselves any more than the lead industry was going to go, you know what, guys, we've made enough money. Let's stop poisoning kids' brains, right? That's not how it works. They have to be made to do it. In the same way, these companies have to be made to do this. And the way I think of it is for all of the 12 factors that I write about in Stone and Focus that are harming our attention, there's sort of 2 levels at which we've got to deal with them. I think of them as defense and offense, right? Like I think I'm alluding to. So there are loads of things that we can do at an individual level to protect ourselves and our children as much as we can. So I'll give you an example of one, if that's something I can show to you. Here it is. So I have here a K-Safe. I should totally have bought shares in this company before my book came out because their sales have massively gone up since I started talking about them. So a K-Safe is a plastic safe. You take off the lid, you put in your phone, wherever my phone is, you put on the lid, you turn this dial at the top, push the button, and it locks your phone away for anything between 5 minutes and a whole day, right?
Do you use it much?
I won't sit down and watch a film with my partner unless we imprison our phones in the phone jail, or have my friends round for dinner unless we imprison our phone and use it 3 hours a day to write. And when I'm trying to persuade people to join me in it, I often say, think about anything you've ever achieved in your life that you're proud of, whether it's starting a business, being a good parent, learning to play the guitar, whatever it is. That thing that you're proud of required a lot of sustained focus and attention. When your ability to focus and pay attention breaks down, your ability to achieve your goals is really diminished. Your ability to solve your problems is really diminished. You feel worse about yourself because you actually are less competent. But when you start to get your attention back, you realize that attention is your superpower, right? It's very infectious. When you start to get your attention back, you want more of it. In terms of defense, I go through loads of things like that we can do. But I want to be really honest with people, because I don't think most books about attention are leveling with people. I'm passionately in favor of these individual changes. They'll make a really big difference in your life. On their own, they're not going to solve this problem for us, although they're important. Because the way I think of it is, at the moment, it's like someone is pouring itching powder over us all day and then leaning forward and going, you know what, mate, you should learn to meditate. Then you wouldn't be scratching all the time. You want to go, screw you, I'll learn to meditate. That's really valuable. But you need to stop pouring this damn itching powder on me, right? So we need to actually take on the forces that are doing this. And also, I think that's very empowering. And it can sound very fancy, but I went to places that have actually done that, from France to New Zealand. I can talk about that. But if we're always focused on the individual solutions, hugely valuable though they are, and passionate as I am about them, it leaves us locked in this self-blame, failure, I need to have more willpower way of thinking. This didn't happen because we all lacked willpower, right? This happened because these really big changes took place in the way we live. That none of us really, you didn't choose that, I didn't choose that, your kids didn't choose that. These were big changes that happened to us that were not the result of any individual's choice, and often, against individuals' will in some cases. So, yeah, I think we need to really reframe how we think about this, while also pursuing all the solutions that we possibly can across the board, individual and collective.